Discover connection, awaken sacredness, become empowered. Join us for our show on Blog Talk Radio. Discover your spiritual gifts live.
Welcome to Discover Your Spiritual Gifts show number 59. We're your hosts, Dave
and Vialet.
Our guest today is Veronica Lightning Horse. Veronica had a very challenging childhood that extended into adulthood. At age 30, she suffered a minor heart attack and had a realization about her life and wanting to stay here and be with her children. She found NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and the other modalities, and now practices and trains others. She got rid of old programs of loss, worthlessness, inferiority, self-hatred, physical and mental disease, many of which were supposedly incurable. She remade herself into someone she loves deeply and is proud of. This led to starting the Lightning Horse School of NLP and now the Healing Ground. Welcome, Veronica. Thank you for being on the show.
And thank you for having me. Appreciate it. And thank you for the intro.
Sure. Well, tell us more about your childhood. I've seen a little bit of it on your website, and my oh my, you're certainly trying to be up there with the wounded healer or the dark night of the soul.
Yeah, most definitely. It's been a very long journey of learning how to turn pain into power. There was quite a few times that I tried to give up, quite a few times that I came to a place of just trying to end it, and found it ironic how every single time I tried, I would get foiled. And it was definitely deep pain. I tried to jump off the top of the school, landed in a snowbank, just knocked the wind out of me. That was the last time that I tried, because laying there looking up at the sky, I had that realization that you're not going to let me die.
Mm-hmm.
You just let me. So I have to basically surrender to life. And if I've got to be here, then I got to figure out how to do this to make it bearable. And shortly thereafter, at 16, my parents sent me to El Paso because that was the only way to deal with me, was to get me out of the house. So I've been on my own since 16. And that was how I began to make my life bearable, and kind of grew from there. I come from a mixed ancestry, and I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness. So everything that I saw was demonic, I was taught was demonic, was evil, was bad. So I rejected my guides. I rejected my angels. I hid from them, and thought that the more that I see them, the worse I was. And she slowly was able to build up a shield against it. But in that religion, it's extremely rule-based, and you're basically walking around that only the Jehovah's Witnesses have the ticket to paradise on earth. And if you don't know the truth, you're essentially dead man walking. So it's like walking around in the world looking at people, and just about everyone around you is dead or dying. So it was a very lonely existence. I was molested repeatedly, beginning at the age of 4. And when I tried to, let anybody know about it, it was turned into a how dare you make something up? You're trying to destroy the family. You're bad, you're dirty, you're filthy kind of things, which can cause a lot of damage in a young mind. They're seeking to understand a trauma. And when they're told that it's not, the mind has a hard time reconciling that, and it causes damage. And what I've learned over time is that, especially at a young age, pre-7, you take on a wounded vibration. And it is a vibration, which means predators pick up on that vibration. And when predators pick up on that vibration, the person can very often experience multiple events of abuse. So again, abused at age 7 by a cousin, again at 14. And that one was real bad because I got pregnant with that one and hid the pregnancy. And when the father found out about the pregnancy, that was proof of what he had done. So I got a very bad beating, which caused me to lose that child. and was told at that time I'd never have any children. So, and 5 children later, I must say I disagree on that.
Oh.
It was hard though for a while because I had something like 9 miscarriages, but you believe what you're told many times, and after that I was then raped again later, put myself in a bad situation, because when you have that frequency and you begin to believe that I must deserve this, because otherwise, why would it happen? So many times we can unconsciously put ourselves in situations that are dangerous to us. I even was married later and was forced by my own husband. So it can become part of that neurology of this is just life. And this is, can be disastrous for a lot of people that don't have an avenue. Or for a while there, what I did was I just gave into it. The doctors are telling me I've got what's called complex PTSD. And all sorts of other things, anxiety disorder, antisocial disorder, depression, bipolar depression, a slew of, these are the symptoms, it fits in this box. So this is your diagnosis, all sorts of different medication. My ex-husband, the father of my 2 oldest children, he was not a healthy person at all. And I got to the point at 27, because apparently at 27, our personalities are more firmly formed. So we have a better idea of who we are and what we want. And at 27, this is not who I am. This is not what I want. And if that means me being a single mother of 3 small children, that is what I'm going to do. And I started out on that path, and boy, oh boy, to all the single moms out there, I feel you. That is hard. You are the only one there, and you're not allowed to get sick or get hurt or get sad or be weak, because you have to take care of those children. And I didn't have any help. My parents rejected me firmly, because in the Jehovah's Witness faith, when you step away from the church, you can either do that by being disfellowshipped, which means that you're basically shunned, is a good concept to put around it, or you can dissociate yourself, which is to leave. And if you dissociate yourself, you are now worldly. You are among the dead. You are a bad association that spoils useful habits. So your parents, your friends, your community essentially cannot talk to you. They cannot listen to you. They can't help. So that was a extremely challenging time for me. And then I was given medication that caused a psychiatric mental breakdown, basically. And when I came out of that, that was again one of those, I can't do this. If I have to live, I have to find a better way of living, because this isn't going to work. I started working with plant medicine at that point in time and found some help in that. And I found it's funny, because when I found my current husband of 12 years, I had just sworn off men. I'm going to do this by myself. I'm done. I don't need a man. This is work. This is ridiculous. And then a week later, my brakes go out. Okay, I'm on to work. And it was one of those days that usually when I drop the kids off at daycare, because I work 2 or 3 jobs, was I didn't get dressed up. Drop them off, come home, take a few minutes for me, and I'm going to go ahead and get dressed and put makeup on today. And I'm driving up, and it's a Sunday, and there's all the shops are closed, and they're closed, and they're closed. And okay, I'm going to go up Federal here in Colorado, and I know there's shops up there, and there's one, and it's closed, but the door was halfway open. So I walk up and I poke my head in, and there he is behind the counter, reading a newspaper of all things. Even at that time, seeing somebody read a newspaper was interesting. And are you open? Does it look like we're open? See, and I speak, asshole. So I know exactly handle that. Like, well, the door's open with you. And the rest is history, 2 more children later and 12 years later. And here we are, and we're on this path together. He was with me when I went through the worst of my physical sickness, because when you have mental illness and you run some deep programs like that, the self-hatred, the will to die, the not good enough, never going to be good enough, nothing I ever do is good enough, it does eat at you. And that's exactly what was happening to me, is my body was shutting down. I was told that I wouldn't live past 36 at the rate that my body was shutting down. And when I had a car accident and damaged some nerves in my spine, probably never going to walk again. And that one was fun because I was pregnant at the time. They told me I lost the baby. I woke up in the ICU, told me I lost the baby. And that, as funny as it sounds, that wasn't going to work for me. So I called in every person of faith in that hospital, every single one. Kath, didn't matter what the religion was, and had them come in and pray. Everyone that I knew had faith, I called in to pray, because there was value that I learned from my time as a Jehovah's Witness, including more than one voice raised in prayer is a much louder voice, is a much more powerful signal. And they even sent me a psychiatrist because, oh, there's something wrong. She's not, accepting that this has happened. And then I got a nurse who didn't read the chart before she came in. And I asked her to bring in the Doppler, and she brought in the Doppler, and she's running it, no heartbeat, my heart sinking. And all of a sudden, there it is. There he was. And it was such a profound thing for me, for that child to choose to stay. It was so profound that it was not going to happen, that I wasn't going to be able to walk to raise my 4 children. That wasn't going to happen. And that power of the mind and not accepting what you're told and believing your inner knowing is such a profound thing to be able to do. And I was able to do that, but I was very sick. My multiple kidney stones, I needed to have a fusion in my cervical spine and in my thoracic spine. I was going to need a knee replacement. I was going to need shoulder replacement. They were going to take out part of my colon, and I was going to have to use a colostomy bag. I was constantly anemic because I had stomach ulcers and ulcerative colitis. So I was constantly internally bleeding. My hair was falling out. My vision was deteriorating. My teeth were breaking and falling out. I was dying. There was no other way to look at it. And then I had that heart attack, and it was such a cliche kind of thing, because he's taking me to the hospital. And for this particular hospital, one of the ways to take is you have to drive right by a cemetery. And it's one of those dark, overcast, a little bit of rain kind of days. And I'm looking at the funeral, holding my chest and thinking maybe this is it. Because it was the dark days. It was the days where I would beg for God to take me and cry when I woke up in the morning because I woke up. And I thought, this is it. And I look over there, and there's this family with some young children putting somebody in the ground. And in that moment, my heart broke, and I knew that I couldn't leave. I couldn't, which means I had it once again to find a way to live. And that's when I found NLP, and I did research and the timeline therapy. And that's what really began my healing journey. Because I had already died and crossed over when I was 23, 24. And I came back angry. I got to go, and it was so beautiful and peaceful, and there was no hurt. It was such a thing of belonging. But of course, the higher beings, they're going to give you a choice.
Time to go home. Go back.
It showed me, like, here's your choice. You can go ahead and stay here, which is real good for you. But this is what's going to happen if you do. And they showed me on the hill pictures, like a movie, of what was going to happen. And it's like, again, that almost sinking despair feeling of, oh man, I don't wanna. And okay. And then got slammed back into my body in just absolutely every nerve in pain, absolutely every nerve. Because I had been bleeding internally. They couldn't find the source. Because Jehovah's Witnesses don't believe that you should take someone else's blood into your body. And if that means you die, you die. And I wasn't going to, I had already been out of the faith for quite a while, but that was one of the things that stuck with me. So I was, bleeding to death. And that's a very, very painful way to go. And I got really, really angry for a really long time. And I know a lot of people have this anger. I see it in my work all the time because I am choosing to stay. I'm choosing to stay. And especially if you're choosing to stay for somebody other than yourself, that's angering when you're not appreciated, when you're not valued, when you're not supported, because I'm here for you and you don't even care. I could have peace. And no, I got to be here for you. So I was angry for a very, very long time until the second time that I chose to stay. And that wasn't a crossover kind of thing. That was just a knocking at the door kind of thing. And at that, then I learned how to let go of the anger with the NLP. I learned where it came from because I didn't really know why I was angry. And I find that with a lot of people, we don't know why we're angry. We don't know why we're hurt. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. I had blocked out memories for a long time in order to be able to survive. But that's where the body starts breaking down, is you can't hide from these things. You have to face and heal these things, which is terrifying because we don't know what that's going to mean. We don't know how to live without it, which is unknown. That's scared because a lot of times that becomes part of your identity. I was in and out of the hospital for months. When I carried my first daughter, I was in a hospital for 6 months. I was so sick, I had to be fed through my veins. I went from 110 pounds to 81 pounds to 187 when I had her, and just kind of lived in hospitals in pain. And a lot of times, when it's psychosomatic pain, you're making it up, you're drug seeking, it's in your head. I had one doctor at one point in time, and I do remember that because that was funny, where I'm sobbing because I'm in pain and the pain medication's not really working. And it's all, letting him, and he's like, well, pain medication is not going to work, so we're not going to give it to you. It's like, well, it's not that it's not working. It's just not working enough. I'm still in pain. Oh, well, then don't take it. It's like, I'm not strong enough to do that. I have to go home and take care of kids. And he looks at me and kind of shrugs his shoulders. He's like, well, get stronger, and walked out of the room. And it was like, but I have a little bit of that, sometimes a lot of that, I'll show you then, within, which has served me greatly in my life, because I did, in my anger about how dare you treat me like that, it did make me stronger. I applied to disability because I went legally blind, couldn't drive, couldn't do any of these things. And they denied me. I'll show you. And I go out and get a job and find another job and get it done. And I think sometimes these things that we have within us, that stubbornness that we don't necessarily see as a good thing, can really serve us. I know that it has really served me. Now I work on fine tuning it and applying it where it's going to be more useful and pick my battles a little bit, but a little bit better, I should say. But it's, it's been a fun journey, and I tried all of the things, I tried medication. I tried drugs, I tried alcohol, which definitely didn't work. So that just made me sicker. I tried all the hiding techniques. At one point in time, I was agoraphobic for like 8 months. I could not leave my house. I'd try to step over the threshold and I'd be in the fetal position panicking. I spent 9 years in therapy, and that was great because that helped me figure out why I was screwed up, but didn't really help me figure out what to do about it at that point in time. That's why I love what I do now, because it's like, okay, sometimes we need to know where it comes from and sometimes we don't, but no matter what, we do need to know what to do about it. And it's a constant work, I don't even believe it was the depth of my wounds or my trauma. It was that it felt like it was taking so long to heal. Why can't I get over this? Why does this still bother me? I'm grown. I took self-defense classes so I could be stronger, so things like this would never happen to me. And nothing seemed to work for a very long time. I'd get okay up here, but my body disagreed. It kept breaking down and breaking down and breaking down. I remember one time where I had to drag myself to the toilet, and that 20 feet from the couch to the toilet seemed like it was miles, and it was exhausting. To just taking a walk down the road, I had to learn how to walk again, to use the motion and the weight of my body to move my foot forward and balance carefully on it before I swung the next leg, and practicing and not giving up and pushing past it, because it's a different kind of pain when you're doing something about it, opposed to a pain that you have where you feel like there's nothing you can do and there's helplessness in that. And that was actually the first year learning how to walk again that I noticed the seasons changing. I had never noticed that seasons changed. I'd never seen the spring turn into summer and the summer turn into fall and the leaves fall and the cold come in and the snow fall. I'd never noticed it before because I was so sunk into my pain that I couldn't see anything around me. I couldn't see the beauty around me. I couldn't see the passage of time and how time can heal. I couldn't see any of it. Now I kind of make it a personal mission to forgive everything, but to not forget. Because through that not forgetting, I can sit in front of somebody who was abused as a child and I get it. I know the process of thoughts. The education helped me later to understand that, this is actually normal and it can even be predicted in a lot of ways. And this is how the brain works. And this is how the neurons fire. And this is how the brain stores it and why, but to have the knowing of what someone's going through and be able to sit across from them and tell them that they're normal, that's a normal response, is like a continued balm to the scars, because it can heal. I still have the scars, but to have that softening balm on the scars, to see even the scars begin to fade and disappear, is a blessing that I can't even really put into words. So now I do this and I'm here because I truly believe that without awareness, there is no choice. And if there is no choice, that's helplessness and powerlessness and the repetition of pain, the circle, just following the circle. I get triggered and I go around the circle over and over and over again. And if you're going to live, let's not live like that. If you gotta live, whether you want to or not, living it to the best of your ability, to at least, even if it's just 90% pain and 10% good, it's at least 10% good. And it'll grow. The more I found I could live in that 10%, the 10% grew and it grew and it grew. And the pain lessened and lessened and lessened. And then that pain started to turn into power. It started to turn into my voice. It started to turn into the ability to push past my fear and do something like this, get up on stage, lead a large group of people in meditation, to do the opposite of what I had always done, which is hide. But that pain, remembering that pain and wanting it to count for something, because it didn't make sense that it happened for no reason. Even when I was a kid, it didn't make sense that this just happened or that I asked for it or I deserved it. Didn't make sense. So here I am.
Wow, what a wonderful message. What a powerful message. We're going to take a quick break here to talk about Discover Your Spiritual Gifts. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Violet Rain, Master and Teacher of Sacred Priesthood in the Mystery Schools here at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts. This is a program that I offer about once a year. We take on students to start this program. It's an 18-month program, which means there are 13 classes. We teach a class once a month, and we skip months with holidays. And on this path, men and women can come together to become sacred priests and sacred priestesses of the Order of Melchizedek. The Order of Melchizedek is the oldest sacred priesthood on this planet. It was mentioned in the Bible and still exists today. This is about walking a path of beauty, sacredness, and service. It's about learning how to be a magical creator of your own life and using the universal mysteries to create whatever type of life that you're looking for. This path is filled with magic, about about learning prosperity, about creating, about sacred geometry, about Kabbalah, about learning about the ascended masters, the archangels, the elementals, including dragons and fairies and unicorns and the mermaids. It brings all that universal wisdom together to create a way for everyone to have that joyful and abundant life that they've always wanted. I hope that you will check out our website under classes and look for Mystery School or look for Sacred Priesthood and find out more about these classes and what we have to offer. I look forward to seeing you in class, and I hope to see you really soon at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts.
Well, welcome back to Discover Your Spiritual Gifts. Our guest is Veronica Lightning Horse, and we've just heard a description of where she's been and where she's gotten to. You talk so much about neuro-linguistic programming. Tell us more about what that is, and what it looks like, and how people use it.
Oh, that's a good question. So NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, I have defined as the study and use and understanding of language and its influence on the unconscious mind. I think the exact definition is of a trail of techniques that leads to success. But to me, that's what it is. It's the study of the use, because the unconscious mind is the autopilot. The unconscious mind has stored all the memories. It runs the energy. It stores the patterns. It's the domain of the habits. And it runs the show about 97% of the time. Conscious mind can only filter X amount of bits of information, whereas the unconscious mind gets the other 97%, and it's got to then filter it. And it will do so based on your training, on your beliefs, on your value system, on your understanding, and it will deposit it in the boxes. If you don't have a box for it, that's one of those confusion, like, I don't know what to do. I can't even comprehend this. I don't have a box for it. And when things like that get filtered, judgments come in, and then automatic behaviors come out. If you learned when you were young, even if you don't really believe it here as an adult, but you learned it and it was put in there when you were a kid, that tattooed people are dangerous, they're bikers. So you're going to unconsciously see a tattooed person, whether you even are really thinking about that person or not, you're going to see it. Your unconscious mind has to process that information, and it's going to go biker, dangerous, move away. And it can get deep with those programs of not good enough. And it can start at such a small age. And it's just stuff that we're not taught, that our emotions are our guidance system, and that they have a purpose for each emotion to move us in a specific direction. We don't get taught this, so we don't know. So we just try to deal with the emotions as best as we can. And most of the time that's going to be dependent on how your community, especially your parents, your attachments, basically dealt with theirs. And the NLP allows you to take language and listen to what somebody else is saying, and pick up on what is a conscious belief and what is an unconscious belief. I'll hear things, what's a recent one? I love my wife to death, but she just breaks my heart. You look into the languaging of that. You love her to death, huh? Why do you love her to death? Why's it got to be death? I love her to pieces. Why pieces? Why do we go there? Because you love a piece of her soul, but not all the pieces? And when we can pick up on those, we can allow the person to come back to, I know what you believe, but as far as your unconscious language patterns go, you just said that you're trying to be happy, which means that you're not. And being able to catch on those little things, knowing where to place the word, because you can choose all sorts of words and they can mean the same thing, but they're going to have a different meaning depending on the programming of that unconscious mind. And with NLP and another form of neuropsychology called timeline therapy, it allows us to go in and delete a limiting decision. install a program at the unconscious level that is more suited to what you're trying to get out of life. So, and I've learned over time that there's actually quite a few of those that goes into that. It's, you know, if the program is, I hate myself, that has to be deleted. It's going to be deleted through a process that's going to allow you to pick out what's valuable in that. And then you can throw away the rest. And then, okay, we've got deleted a limiting decision, but that doesn't mean that you have the new belief system at the unconscious level. Because just like you're talking on the phone and you're driving a car, your unconscious mind drives the car, not you, which means if you're really upset with somebody and you're talking to them, your unconscious mind is going to be running your language programs, your body language, your energy. And if it doesn't have the training to do something different, it's going to keep doing the same thing, even if you learned to do that thing when you were 5 years old. So we got to go in there and find the programs. Is it safe to love yourself? Are you allowed to love yourself? Do you deserve to love yourself? And then finally, being able to install, I love myself. So the brain actually has a choice. Kind of the way that it was originally taught to me is that you have unbroken snow and you're going to go down in a sled. And you're going to, because you don't know and you're unfamiliar with it, you're going to go down the route somebody points to. And you go down and you create a little groove. And you're going to continue using that groove because you've learned that it works. It gets you safely to the bottom of the hill. And it's familiar. It's comfortable. And then after a while, you start to realize that that particular route overall isn't the best for you. But trying to get out of that deep groove is very difficult. If you don't have another groove to go down, if you don't start another line, you don't have a choice. So you can start another line and it's not initially going to be as deep as the previous, but you can cover that line up. And if you find yourself in that line, you know it's off to the right to be able to get into the next groove. And this is what NLP and timeline therapy is able to give us, is that we literally have this groove in our brain. We have these little fatty tissues, myelin sheaths around our neurons that help conduct electricity faster, cleaner, quicker, better. And if you use that route all the time, you're going to have a fatty myelin sheath. And if that happens, you're going to want to use that one. That's the strongest. That's the best one. If you don't have another one to start building up, to catch yourself when you're firing on that and go, no, I don't hate myself. I'm allowed to love myself. I deserve to love myself. I'm a lovable person. No. And we can fire on the new programs. If you don't have the capacity to do that, this is why people can spend years in affirmations and get frustrated. They can spend all the time talking to themselves. And why does this voice come back so loud telling me this? At an unconscious level, have you ingrained that new habit? Have you ingrained that new pattern, that new groove? And then the rest is practice, because it is self-development. It is practice. I can give somebody the programs. You got to catch yourself when you're going down the runaway train route and get yourself off. Now you know how. When you have awareness, you have a choice. Now you know how. Do it. So I love it. I absolutely love it. Cleans up the emotions. Timeline therapy kind of gives you more of a clean emotional slate, so you're less reactive. And I definitely teach where the emotions are coming from. So when you feel the emotions, you can get the guidance that it's meant to give you. And again, have a choice.
That sounds great. Violet, do you want to ask some questions?
Yeah, I have some questions. You talked about earlier about, and I won't use the right verbiage, but we get stuck in these cycles and we attract similar over and over and over again. We get in these patterns where we don't realize that, hey, I'm wounded, so I'm going to continue to have that frequency and attract more of that into my life without realizing that's really what's happening.
what would you tell someone, a client that comes to you that continues to struggle in certain areas and sees a cycle? How quickly can they get out of it using these techniques? How long does it take to really start shifting who you are and changing those thought patterns so that you attract something different?
Oh, great question. As soon as you have awareness, you can begin changing it. As soon as you know that's what's happening, you can begin changing it. With my process, there's a lot of processes, and I've seen a lot of processes, and I do believe that there is a process for every person. There's no right or wrong. We all have different autopilots. We're all different. A good analogy is we're all different types of cars, and some mechanics can work on all the cars, and some mechanics specialize in this car, and that car needs that mechanic. My program takes between 6 and 12 weeks. I usually begin seeing a difference pretty much right away, because a big part of it is you have your unconscious mind. Overall, its prime directive is to keep you safe. And if it doesn't believe that you have learned to keep yourself safe, it's going to step in and override. So being able to get in rapport with our unconscious mind and show our unconscious mind, no, we learned. I've learned what I need to learn from this. Then it doesn't need to override. It trusts you. You can trust yourself, and you can move on to the next thing that you're having your unconscious mind override, and learn from that. And some of the learnings are easy. With this process, it gets it to have the learning at an unconscious learning at the conscious level. So that way the conscious and the unconscious mind can work together. And we do need to operate as a whole unit. Because with that frequency, we tend to do it. We tend to call in the same thing over and over again. And, you know, if you're in the second grade and you take a test and you kind of understand it, but you didn't really pass it, you're going to continue taking that test over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, possibly forever, if you don't figure it out. And sometimes you can't figure it out because you need an outside input to give you a perspective that you haven't had before. And then that lets you go, click. Oh, cool. Let me finish that assignment and move on to the next.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I know you have a center here in Littleton. Talk to us a little bit about your store center and some of the classes and programs that you offer there that people could check out.
Okay, great. Thank you for the opportunity. So I own a little store / wellness center, metaphysical store / wellness center out here in Littleton off of Littleton Boulevard. It's called Lightning Horse, the Healing Ground. We kind of have a big chunk of the building. So we have classroom space, we have practitioner rooms. We rent out those practitioner rooms sometimes. And then we have a metaphysical store, but I designed this store to be basically a healer's toolkit. Whether you are healing yourself or whether you are a healer, to come in and get things. And I was actually pretty adamant in the beginning because of my little stubborn streak and my jadedness with religion for a while there, that it has to be scientific. So pretty much everything that's in the store has a scientific background. You know, whether it's the crystals or the energy we use when we pull an oracle card, an intention candle, the books to teach you, the herbs to be able to, you know, heal yourself more with plant medicine. But our big thing is education. My big thing, so our big thing is education, because I can hand you something and say, here, this will work. But if you don't have awareness, you don't have choice. So let me explain it to you. You know, so we you know, with the sage, we have it behind a counter and, you know, behind glass. So if you want sage, you're going to get a little lesson about the history of sage, what we use it for, you know, as far as the indigenous culture I was taught. this is its purpose. This is how it works. This is how it needs to be done for the best effect. You can do whatever you want, but we're going to offer you that teaching along with it. And it's, you know, a very kind of take it or leave it, but we're going to say it. So we have yoga from time to time. I do a Monday night drum circle meditation where I incorporate some of the healing work that I do. It's called psychosomatic neuroregulation and neuromodification. So it's because I can run a meditation, I can do a reading, but for me, it feels incomplete if we're not doing some healing in it. You know, we have X amount of time, let's get to work kind of thing. I also do a group healing here at 5:30 on Thursday and Friday nights. And what that looks like is I put 5 people on tables and release from all of them. So we look at trapped emotions, we look at irregular hormones, we look at past life stuff. Kind of, I'm getting really good at just doing what I'm told. So whatever I'm told we need to work on, we work on that. We've got a couple of great readers. We have an amazing crystal practitioner. And then we do healings in the park. We usually do those for more world events kind of things, or full moon ceremonies with more of an indigenous Native American medicine brought into it, because that's me. It's how I've learned. It's how I teach. But yeah, we do little festivals from time to time. We're doing a trunk or treat again this year to kind of offer a safe avenue for the neighborhood kids to come out, and we'll do a meditation here for the adults. And it's kind of whatever we can, because my goal is to just get awareness out there. We're working with getting the state to decriminalize psychedelic mushrooms, because it is such a powerful medicine to be able to use, and plant medicines are huge. And during this time of massive awakening, us humans need all of our tools that we can, and the earth provides us with all of our tools. We can fashion things out of the earth, but we have our tools and our medicines right here to heal ourselves. We're just missing the awareness. So I'm all about just spreading awareness as far and as often and as much as I can.
Awesome. So if people were interested in finding out more, how do they find you?
I believe the website is the Healing Ground 310. And also that would be the email, the Healing Ground 310 or lightninghorseschools@gmail.com. But that's kind of the best way to reach us, or Google's magic too. Lightning Horse, the Healing Ground.
It is kind of magic, right? It comes out there really good. Well, I appreciate so much you taking the time to share your story today and your journey and the things that you offer. I know that we send people to your store and you send people to our store. So I know we share our communities somewhat. So I hear that both ways. And I come and check out your store every once in a while too. So I like stopping in and seeing what's new and what's happening. So I love coming in and seeing what you've got going on there. So thanks for taking the time today.
Thank you. Can I show you something real quick?
Yeah.
When I opened this store, I tried really hard not to. I had a lot of time arguing, and like every argument they gave me, or they gave me like a duh kind of retort. So what it is, I went and I looked at you guys, because I love the name Discover Your Spiritual Gifts. And that's kind of what I was about. How do you switch this thing around? I don't know. Oh, there it is. And I walked in and I saw this guy right here, right in the middle of your store. And I had to have, the Archangel Michael actually stayed at my house for a few weeks, because I didn't even technically own the store yet when I got him, and I knew he had to be here. This is actually the second one I got from you. The original one is upstairs gracing the middle of the store, and that was such an incredible gift. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're very welcome. Archangel Michael is our protector here, And we actually sold our statue right before the center flooded. And so we learned our lesson that the one on display can never be sold, because as soon as it went out of the door 2 weeks later, the center flooded. So we always keep extra. People can take home one of the extras in the box, but they cannot have the one on the floor for that very reason, because he protects our center and keeps the center safe. So I love that you have one too. I have one at home too. I have one at home. I have two here at the center, and then we have two extras. So he's very popular, so I can understand that connection. Very much.
He's everywhere, and he's been my savior many a times before I even knew who he was.
Well, I totally get that. So thanks for sharing that. You have a beautiful place there. So thanks for showing us that.
Yeah, but just a practical thing. What are your store hours?
Oh, yes, we are open 11 to 6 on Tuesdays and 11 to 8 Wednesday through Saturday, 11 to 6 on Sunday.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I'll have to come over and see your store. I'm still the person who hasn't been in your place yet, so I'll come over and meet you face to face.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be great. I'm a hugger. We just use thieves oil and kill all of the things, and we're good to hug still.
Absolutely. Yep.
Well, thank you so much, you guys. I appreciate you so much, and thank you for all the work that you're doing to make this a better place and to make our ride a little bit easier in this life.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for being a great guest today, and what an impressive story and an inspiring story. If you can do it, anybody can do it, right?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Okay, well, to our listeners, thank you for listening to this show. Please stay with us for messages from several of our practitioners at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts. Have a great week.
Hi, at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts, we're a spiritual event and community and center, and we love hosting community events. Throughout the year, we do everything from ice cream socials to community appreciation events to psychic fairs. In fact, we bring together our team of talented readers, intuitives, and healers 3 times a year so that our community can come in, be in community, connect, and try out our team of readers and healers. We find that this is an affordable and effective way to get that message you really need, to be in community with others, but also to find your next favorite reader or healer in your area. So we do these fairs in January, June, and October of every year. And if you want to find out when our next ones are, you can visit discoveryourspiritualgifts.com/calendar. We always have the most updated community events listed there. Some of the perks of attending is that we never charge admission to come to our fair. You can pre-book with the readers and healers that are scheduled to be here so that you can guarantee your spot. And we offer 10% off of our metaphysical retail store on the day of our fair. So we'd love for you to come check out one of our next events and experience the difference at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts.
Hi, my name is Heather Nichols. I'm a soul journey coach and the owner of Soulful Essence and Wellbeing. For the past several years, I've been on a quest to fulfill my full purpose of healing my past so I may learn to love myself unconditionally. I want to show others how they can do the same thing for themselves. My journey officially began in 2015. I became a Reiki master teacher to be a conduit of healing for myself and others. And I've always had an interest in hypnosis and self-development. And I finally stepped forward in my passion and found a program that helped me release negative emotions that were keeping me stuck in my past. I became a certified practitioner in this wonderful program and later studied Akashic Records and many other healing modalities. I'm beginning my new class series starting in March, and this class is for people who are ready to release emotional trauma and blocks from their past. This can be from past lives or this life. During this class, we'll explore what impact anger, sadness, fear, hurt, and guilt has in our lives, how we react to people and situations because of our state of mind, why it's important to forgive ourselves and others, Then it's time to release. And we'll use time techniques to release anger and sadness, a guided meditation to release additional negative emotions, and I'll be giving you a workbook so that you can journal about your experiences. The class schedule is from 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. on the following days: Saturday, March 14th, Saturday, April 11th, Sunday, May 24th, Saturday, June 13th, Sunday, July 19th, Saturday, August 15th. And you can register at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts, Facebook, Meetup, or Eventbrite, or at Soulful Essence and Wellbeing on Facebook. You can also register on my website at Soulful Essence, the letter N, wellbeing.com/classes. I look forward to seeing you in my class.
Hi, my name is Tiffany, and I am an intuitive person along with being a meditation and Qigong teacher. I have traveled the world to meet amazing teachers, and they have taught me all about Qi energy and the Taoist way. Now, these teachers taught me a beautiful practice called Sum Thought meditation. Now, this is an ancient Chinese wisdom of understanding the Dantian energy elixir. And I'm telling you, this energy elixir is crazy powerful. This ancient Taoist Chinese practice has changed my life, and I want to share this transformational energy with you. Do you want to heal mind, body, spirit? Do you want to break and change old patterns that hold you back? Do you want to open up your heart chakra and move more love into your life? Do you want more joy in just being you? Do you want to tap into your higher self? Then come explore this ancient Taoist wisdom with me. This isn't just a meditation class. We connect, we move, we explore, and we create. Come join me every Monday morning from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts. I look so forward to seeing you there.
Discover connection, awaken sacredness, become empowered. Join us for our show on Blog Talk Radio.